Hello everyone, the Cartoon Gal 98 here once again. And this time, another day, another creepypasta reading. The creepypasta is called Fall of an Ed and Eddie creepypasta. And credit to the person who made this story. Anyways, apparently this is supposed to be a rewrite of another Ed and Eddie creepypasta called Ed and Eddie episode 34. Now don't get me wrong, the episode 34 creepypasta was a really good story. This story, I think it was okay. Not a whole lot bad, but just okay. But with that all out of the way, here is Fall of an Ed. Enjoy. Hey guys, my old blog got deleted sadly, so I'm re-uploading my story onto here. I'm not kidding with any of you when I say I found this animation on a cartoon streaming website. If you don't believe me, I saved some screenshots. I was looking for free episodes to watch since I didn't have Max. Thankfully, I had an antivirus, so no viruses were going to affect my computer just by downloading episodes, that's for sure. I then asked one of my friends where I can download free Ed and Eddie episodes.
Hey, just wanted to ask you if there are any other websites that stream cartoons. All the other sites I downloaded episodes didn't let the files load onto my computer for some reason.
He responded with,
Don't worry, I found a website called Funny Cartoons Online, and when I tried it, they loaded onto my files safely.
He then sent me a link to the website. When I clicked on it, the top of the screen had famous cartoon characters. They were all poorly drawn, probably in MS Paint. Their colors were all gradients, with some of them being colored wrong, with Twilight Sparkle from Friendship is Magic being white with pink mane, and Tender Heart Bear from Care Bears being baby blue instead of brown. Another strange thing that there was no logo, just cartoon characters. Looks fishy, but whatever. I had an antivirus with me, and my friend said this place could let me download episodes. I started contemplating about downloading from here. What if this website won't let the episodes be downloaded into my files like the other websites? I thought,
Screw it, might as well give it a try.
and searched up Ed and Eddie in the search bar. When I was scrolling through the list of episodes, I saw something that caught my eye. There was an episode called Season 6, Episode 2, Fall of an Ed. Seems odd. Wasn't there only one episode for Season 6 or something? Maybe this was a fan animation. I was proven right as soon as I clicked the video. As the intro started, I noticed something. Ed's pupils were gone. Strange. This was definitely something made by a fan. At the end of the intro, Ed started to laugh maniacally as Ed and Eddie looked at him confused. I paused the video. Why would someone steal someone else's parody? They probably worked on for days. I kind of feel bad for them, having all their work stolen just like that. I unpaused the video. I was wanting to see who made it so I can tell them that a website with possibly tons of malware stole their animation. The title card consisted of a doctor covered in blood putting on a purple glove with the title reading Fall of an Ed in red letters. I was really impressed. The title card had the same look as one you would see in any normal episode. The person who made this definitely put tons of effort into this. It then faded to black for 2 seconds until green words in a slimy font appeared on the screen. So the person who made this was called Color Me Green 123? Interesting. I'm gonna tell them that some scummy website stole their project if I ever find them when the video is over. After the title card, it faded out to show the cul-de-sac with Ed and Eddie walking around looking for Ed. The animation was really good. It definitely emulated the season 5 to 6 animation style very well, to the point it looked like an episode from season 5.
Sockhead! Sockhead! Where the heck are ya?
Eddie yelled ferociously.
We have suckers to scam!
Ed started to get scared.
Oh no! What if aliens took Double D and put him into a giant vaporizer to destroy the world?
Ed yelled. Ed began to run around in circles, yelling about aliens while Eddie looked upon the situation with a grumpy look on his face. Eddie grabbed Ed's neck and slapped him across the face 3 times comedically.
Shut up, Lumpy! We'll find Sockhead and start scamming some suckers in no time.
Ed smiled.
Okie dokie, Eddie,
He said. They then saw Kevin riding his bike to Naz's house.
And we're gonna get plenty of cash from Shovel Chin,
Eddie said greedily. The 2 Eds ran towards Kevin, thinking that they could get some money from him.
Hey,
Just before Eddie could finish his sentence, Kevin interrupted him.
No, dorks! I ain't giving you money.
He said. Eddie was angered by this. Before he could say something else, Kevin drove off.
Oh, you've gotta be kidding me! Who are we gonna scam now?
Eddie then paused and thought for a moment.
Johnny!
Eddie shouted, getting an idea that he and Ed can scam him.
Come on, Lumpy! Let's go get some cash from Johnny Boy! Okie dokie, Eddie!
Ed said happily. It then fades to Eddie's bedroom with Ed holding 2 syringes. He was wearing a lab coat with some purple gloves instead of his signature orange shirt.
Now, boys, this experiment will leave you a bit lightheaded and hungry for flesh. You might also vomit some blood and cause you to become, well, cannibalistic,
He mumbled. He then looked to the left, which showed Rolf and Jimmy sitting on Eddie's bed.
So, are you ready, gentlemen?
Ed said softly. They nodded with blank looks on their faces. Strange. Why would they agree to something that would probably put everyone and themselves in danger? Plus, if Color Me Green was such a big fan of Ed, Ed, and Eddie, they would have got Rolf and Jimmy's personalities right. Ed then rubbed alcohol swab on their shoulders and injected a liquid from the syringes into them. Rolf and Jimmy's eyes widened before becoming more relaxed. They formed soft smiles on their faces. They then left Eddie's house as Ed waved goodbye. It then cut to Jimmy stumbling to Sarah and Ed's house, mumbling to himself. Sleepy. Jimmy then fell down in front of the door and gently knocked on it. When Sarah came to the door, she gasped.
Oh my God! Jimmy! What happened to you?
She exclaimed in horror. Jimmy mumbled. Sarah picked him up and ran into the house.
Don't worry, Jimmy. I'll get you help.
She said, trying to crack a smile, even though her eyes said something different. Jimmy was then seen lying on Sarah's bed, now with a bandage on his shoulder, giggling and mumbling. Sarah then came in with a glass of water.
Jimmy? Why are you laying on the ground and giggling? And why the heck is there a tiny hole on your shoulder? Just what the heck happened?
She asked in concern. Before Jimmy could reply, he started to gag.
Sick.
He managed to say. Sarah's eyes widened and she ran out of the room and quickly came back into the room with a trash can.
I swear, if I find out who did this, I'm gonna...
She paused mid-sentence when she saw Jimmy's vomit in the trash can. Sarah's face grew pale when she saw the contents of his vomit. He vomited blood.
Oh my god!
Before Sarah could finish her cry in horror, Jimmy jumped onto her, cutting to black and then fading back to Ed and Eddie wandering around. I was surprised. I didn't expect Jimmy attacking his most bestest friend in the whole world. Those drugs definitely made him into an animal. Eddie was very agitated. The two Eds probably didn't find Johnny.
What the hell? Where the fuck is that moron?
He cursed. Ed was nervous.
Will Double D come out to play yet?
He asked sadly.
I don't know, Lumpy. He's probably doing some science stuff at his house.
Replied Eddie. Ed smiled.
Is he making lemonade for smart people?
He asked.
Duh! All scientists drink chemicals.
Eddie grumbled. As they left, Eddie looked nervous, feeling like something was wrong. Ed noticed this.
Are you okay, Eddie?
Ed asked. Eddie took a while to say something before responding with,
Yeah.
It then faded to the inside of Rolf's shed. Rolf was eating one of his pigs, Wilfred. There was a white piece of meat with black spots on it. This must indicate that he ate a cow.
Rolf wants more meat. Need more meat.
He hissed. He then started walking into Johnny's house, his head down, limping vomit and blood off his mouth. I guess he threw up and went feral like Jimmy. He came back out, dragging Johnny, who was holding Plank by the ear. Say, Rolf, where are we going? Rolf didn't respond. Instead, he mumbled out,
Rolf's hungry. Must eat.
Gee, Plank, Rolf must not have eaten today, Johnny said to his inanimate wooden friend, completely unaware of their gory fate. They arrived to Naz's house and Rolf knocked on the door. When Naz opened the door, she was surprised. Hey guys! She paused when she saw, still with his head down, with tiny droplets of vomit dripping down his face. Dude, why do you have vomit dripping down from your mouth? Are you sick? She asked, concerned. Rolf finally lifted his head up, small bits of vomit covering his face.
Rolf is fine. You must not worry.
Rolf giggled. His left eye started twitching. He then suddenly vomited. But unlike Jimmy, his vomit wasn't mixed with blood. Not yet. Now Naz was very concerned. She was afraid of what could have caused this. Oh my god! Are you okay, dude? We need to get you to the... Before Naz can finish her sentence, Rolf started shaking a little bit, on the edge of falling on the ground and becoming unconscious. Here, dude. You need sleep. Let me lay you down. You're definitely exhausted, Naz said in a reassuring tone. After lying Rolf down on her couch, Naz went over to Johnny and started asking him about if Rolf was acting like this before. As they were talking, it then switched to a first-person perspective from Rolf. his vision being all blurry. Suddenly, he threw up green, yellow, and bloody vomit with chunks of meat from his farm animals, with one of them looking like Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This made me laugh. Despite having tons of shocking moments in the movie, there was something that could have been seen in any parody. It snapped out of Rolf's perspective as Naz and Johnny looked at Rolf in shock. Naz gasped. She started to take a few steps back as Johnny watched in awe. The throw made her head start to drip little droplets of blood on the side of her head. She was starting to feel lightheaded. As Johnny started drawing out his last breath, Rolf stabbed Plank through his neck, causing him to die quickly. Rolf then looked down at Naz.
Apologies, Nazgul, but Rolf must take some munchies from your head now.
He apologized. Looks like he actually has a little remorse. It then faded to Kevin riding his bike to Naz's house.
Man, where the hell is everyone? The only people out here are those dorks.
He thought. As he got to the house, he noticed that the door was open. He was confused, feeling like something was wrong.
Naz? You okay in there?
No response. He grew curious and stepped inside. When he stepped inside, he looked down, and his face changed from a look of confusion to a look of shock. Right there was the corpse of Johnny, with Plank's upper half gorged inside his throat, the lower half inside his left eye socket. He stumbled back and started to have breath problems, only to be greeted with sudden chewing noises. He slowly walks into the bathroom, which has the source of the noise. What he saw was Rolf eating Naz's brains, her scalp removed from the top of her head, and skull cracked open for the brain to be exposed.
Dude! What the fuck?
Kevin screamed. Rolf turned around to face Kevin.
Hello, Kev boy.
Dude, what the hell is... Why would you do all this?
Rolf apologizes, bike-loving boy. Rolf discovers what the insides of the head taste like.
Rolf responded calmly while laughing, still chewing on the bloody brains. He stopped eating and then started walking towards Kevin.
Please understand, Kev boy. Rolf is just hungry.
Get the fuck away from me! Get the fuck away from me!
Kevin screamed. The person who was voicing him has bills to pay. Rolf lunged towards him, causing him to scream until it cut back to Ed and Eddie walking. Eddie was talking about how much the day was boring and how they couldn't scam anyone. As he continues to talk, a hand came from the bushes and grabbed Ed, pulling him in. Eddie hears this, looks around, shrugs, and goes back to talking. After a few seconds, Eddie turned around, only to see nobody.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Eddie roared. Eddie was enraged at this point and started heading for home. As he was walking back to his house, Jimmy crawled out of the bush. Ed was taken in, covered in blood and guts. Well, that escalated quickly. Still giggling, he crawled all the way to Naz's house, only to see Rolf eating from Kevin's stomach and the corpses.
Rolf!
He called out quietly. Rolf turned around, seeing Jimmy shivering, drool dripping down his face. Jimmy started crawling towards him, looking straight up like a demon. Rolf grabbed his left leg and quickly bit it off. causing Jimmy to giggle a little bit despite the pain and blood pouring from the wound. Jimmy looked deeply into Rolf's eyes, which were full of bloodlust.
Shh, Fluffy Jim boy.
Rolf whispered.
Just let this happen.
It finally cut to Ed walking around the cul-de-sac, possibly to look for Rolf and Jimmy.
I wonder how the experiment is going so far,
he said. He heard chewing noises from one of the bushes, and when he looked inside, he was a bit surprised. Rolf was eating Jimmy's left leg, with both of them laughing maniacally. All of Jimmy's limbs were torn off, his retainer destroyed, and mouth drooling with blood. Some small parts of his face were ripped off, and 3 of his teeth were lying on the bloody ground.
My,
Ed chuckled.
the drugs must have made you two very hungry, haven't they?
Jimmy confirmed in a whispering tone.
Here,
Ed said softly, carrying Jimmy and grabbing Rolf's hand.
let's go back to Eddie's house.
As they got there, Ed notices that Eddie was inside.
Perfect.
He said, possibly planning to kill him. He pulled out a shovel out of his pocket and opened the window, crawling inside and quietly walking towards Eddie from behind. Before Eddie could turn around, he felt a shovel hit his head before it quickly cut to black. It faded back to show Eddie lying on his bed with a bruise on the back of his head. His eyes were fluttering a little bit before quickly shooting open when he saw the bodies of Kevin, Naz, Johnny, Sarah, and Ed. The Kinker sisters' headless corpse were there too, along with corpses of tons of OCs, who some I don't even know. Eddie started breathing heavily, almost on the edge of having a mental breakdown.
What happened?
He cried out in horror.
He has woken up, Double D, Ed boy.
Rolf called out. Eddie was about to speak before a loud creak was heard. Footsteps can be heard as Ed came into the room and looking down at Eddie with an "you had this coming, you pawn" kind of look spread across his face.
Suckhead? What the hell is all this?
Eddie shouted. Ed was silent for 10 seconds before responding.
Well, Eddie,
Ed answered.
me, Rolf, and Jimmy just couldn't take your scams anymore. We couldn't take the bullshit from everyone else either. Your greediness, Ed's stupidity, Sarah's anger, Kevin's bullying, the Kinker sisters' sexual harassment, Johnny's delusions about Plank being alive, and Naz pulling literally everyone in the neighborhood. We headed up to here with all your foolishness. Hell, we even have private conversations when none of you aren't around about how much we wanted to rip all your flesh off your bodies, especially when you gave Jimmy that wedgie.
Ed breathed heavily before calming himself down by taking deep breaths and glared back over to Eddie.
We deeply apologize, but this is for the greater good. You all should know this was coming. Jimmy, you may come in now.
Jimmy then wheeled himself inside the room in a wheelchair, his wounds all bandaged up. Eddie's eyes widened to the fullest at Jimmy's conditions.
What the fuck happened to Fluffy?
He exclaimed.
Oh, about that, Rolf got a little bit hungry. I found them laughing when he was eating Jimmy's limbs. They look so cute.
Ed giggled.
How the hell is that cute?
Eddie yelled before Jimmy wheeled over to him with the same bloodlust look Rolf had earlier.
Might we start feasting on him now, Double D?
Jimmy asked, which caused Eddie to start sweating. Ed thought for a moment before responding with,
Why, of course, Jimmy. He's quite tubby, so he'll last about 1 to 2 hours.
Oh fuck no, I'm out of here!
Eddie screamed. He tried running away until Rolf lunged towards him with the subula sound effect blaring out. Rolf pinned Eddie on the floor as he, Jimmy, and Ed loom above them with crazed, hungry, and joyful looks plastered all over their faces.
Well, gentlemen, time to eat.
Ed said hungrily. Eddie then let out one final scream before the screen cut to black and started playing the credits. I gotta say, this was kind of really good. But the only problem I had was that Ed, Rolf, and Jimmy were a little bit out of character. Wouldn't it be better for someone who has a grudge against everyone to kill them all? It didn't make sense, but hey, 8 out of 10 could have been better. I'm gonna go on a search for Color Me Green 123 to tell them that a website stole their animation. Wish me luck. Update. I just got in contact with her, she's a girl, via Instagram. And after I told her about the website and how it stole her animation, she literally had a mental breakdown, fearing about how website might have found her IP address. I'm not gonna show the messages for her safety since she's going through a hard time right now. She did tell me that she had anxiety issues, so that's probably why she acted that way. Really sad. She deleted all her social media, which is sad, but understandable. If I got my animation stolen, I would have been freaking out too. Also, thank you all for listening to my story. I hope whoever owns that website gets a good kick in the ass.